have in our midst the sixth president of the Republic of Mauritius. How many have been to Mauritius, seen Mauritius? So now we all have the opportunity to go on those blue beaches and have our peach on the beach in Mauritius for 2020. So thank you very much, ma'am, for making time to be with us. Please come through and address us. Yes.
Ladies and one gentleman. Two gentlemen. Sorry. Good morning. Of course, those at the back as well. It's a pleasure to be here and to be able to speak at the World Business Angels Forum meeting. And here I would like up front to thank Bebars for associating me with this event and appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts on the critical importance of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs with an emphasis on inclusion of women and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, in September 2015, the UN General Assembly declared February 11th as the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, coinciding with adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals, also known as Agenda 2030. And I think we are highly privileged to have had among us, we still have among us the architect of this, Princess Nasreen El Hashemite, who is still here with us. The SDGs are built on a strong foundation of science, technology, and innovation, with a consistent call for gender equality throughout. The standalone goal on gender equality is bold and clear and will serve as a guidepost in our collective efforts to achieve gender equality in all spheres of human activity and advancement. The SDG is an opportunity to commit to a new mindset, one that disrupts inertia, questions the status quo, and discards all prejudices while introducing new ideas that are big, bold, creative, and achievable, and more importantly, sustainable. The global education gender gap has seen impressive declines around the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, between 2004 and 2014, 94% of the education gender gap was closed. In my country, Mauritius, a big catalyst for progress was triggered when free education began to be provided in 1976. Notwithstanding this impressive gain, a recent UNESCO report provides new evidence that gender gaps in education persist. Some 16 million girls worldwide between the ages of 16 and 11 will never start school, compared to 8 million boys. The gap widens when one moves beyond education to factor in future employment and wages earnings. In fact, the World Economic Forum finds that sub-Saharan Africa was still at only 68% of gender parity. Yet, opportunities for women and girls to advocate for their interests, rights, and social transformations are opening up, particularly in information and communications technology. In colleges, women are catching up in science and maths, and businesses are realizing that a more diverse, gender-based workforce adds shareholder value and contributes to achieving the bottom line. Ladies and gentlemen, science, technology, and innovation have the power to disrupt and shift trajectories as STIs increasingly influences all aspects of life today, not just careers directly in the sciences. STI solutions are required to grow business and social enterprise, improve health outcomes, including sexual and reproductive health, provides clean water, energy, and manage the environment and develop infrastructure. The SDG goal directs the global community to, and I quote, enhance the use of enabling technology, in particular information and communications technology, to promote the empowerment of women, unquote. The ability of women to access, benefit from, develop, influence and lead these sectors will directly impact whether we achieve Planet 50/50 goal and to make national commitments to address the challenges that are holding women and girls back from reaching their full potential by 2030. Moreover, as history shows, science serves as the basis for informed decision making and effective impact assessment in all sectors. Of course, having women in leadership positions in science, business, and public office is a powerful signal for both men and women. Just think of the iconic role model that Marie Curie played more than 100 years ago after winning 2 Nobel Prizes. And this resonates with me because I can still see her walking in her lab with a dark dress. Can you imagine being a woman at that time? Being a woman now is still difficult. Ladies and gentlemen, if women are left out of full participation in the 21st century aspirations, we will not achieve gender equality, nor realize our broader goals for growth, prosperity, and well-being, including scientific advancement. We simply cannot afford to draw from anything less than 100% of our talent pool if we are serious about transforming, for example, African economies into sustainable enterprises driven by innovation. I firmly believe that no team can ever contemplate a win by leaving 52% of the team on the bench. A bird doesn't fly with one wing. We need more women who can raise awareness and lead by example. I'm looking to the present generation to carry forward this torch. Unfortunately, in Africa, as in the developed world, the number of women in STEM declines steadily on the arc from secondary school to university, laboratories, teaching, policy making, decision making, and leadership. There are great divides in women access to, participation in, and leadership within STI sectors, despite being on the frontiers of energy use, climate change adaptation, economic production, and as stewards of extensive traditional knowledge. In the formal STI sectors worldwide, women make under 10% of the innovation hub, funding by venture capitalists, and only 5% of membership in national academies in science and technology disciplines. We are similarly underrepresented in research and development, publishing, leadership in government and the private sector, and so on. We must address urgently the disconnect between the interest and the ability of women to provide brain power and their inclusion in the formal power structure of science and scientific policy making. The reasons for this disconnect are many, ranging from access to technology, to education, investment gaps, to unsupportive work environment, to societal and cultural beliefs, customs around childcare, and persistent gender stereotypes. Globally, girls demonstrate no less interest in science and math education in primary school than do boys, then start to select themselves out of the STEM course in early secondary schools. But change is coming, slowly but steadily. Pressing ahead, making yourself heard, pulling each other up, and making a lasting impact on our world, that is what we must do for the benefit of all. We need to celebrate the incredible achievement of women in science, technology, and innovation, and galvanize the global community to do more to ensure that women's participation in the formal sector is the rule and not the exception. In the informal sector, where women's ingenuity is the rule, we must be awarded commensurate recognition and support. The International Day for Women in Science is an annual reminder that these opportunities and obligations holding us accountable for advancing women in science, technology, innovation to achieve gender equality and by extension, our broader development goals. This ambition is complex and deep, but it starts at the most basic level in the education of children. Parents, teachers, communities, leaders influence how young women choose their career path. That choice begins early in school and continues all the way through higher education. When science is rejected as a career choice, it is often due to limited information and the dearth of positive role models to encourage girls to participate. We all know that the family unit is the most influential factor, so parents must be brought in early so that they can learn of opportunities for their children. To many poor and rural parents, these are not only beyond the exposure, but also beyond the imagination. Ladies and gentlemen, facing these existential threats, we must realize that it is not just a moral issue to educate our girls. Gender equality is critical for the economic well-being of both men and women. We must bring all our human resources to bear on these huge challenges. When women participate in the economy, the growth is stronger and it is inclusive. We know, based on a wealth of research and experience, that empowering women is a necessary, critical economic game changer for any country. Studies reveal, for example, that if women were to participate in the labor market, and labor force, to the same extent as men, national income would increase by 5% in the United States, 9% in Japan, and 27% in India. I would be remiss if I didn't pay tribute to late Wangari Maathai, scientist and the first African woman to win the Nobel Prize for having raised our consciousness about environmental protection. I'm confident that with the right kind of support, more Wangari Maathai will emerge to tackle Africa's development challenge. Undeniably, government has a key role to play in promoting the position of women in the labor market. Affordable childcare, parental leave, workplace flexibility are all critical tools for equal opportunity. Equal pay, equal opportunity for women, promote diversity, reduce inequality, and boost economic growth for everyone. In Africa, it is little known that women play a critical role in growing food to feed the continent. We've just heard about the number of African entrepreneurs, women we have. So women must be empowered with knowledge, technology, financial resources, and land. Increasingly, women's access to finance mechanism and removing the legal barrier that still exists in many countries are among the ways to make sure that women can stay in the workforce and achieve the fullest potential. In the fast-paced world of scientific research in particular, any long period away from the lab threatens the ability to be creative, publish, and to be regarded by colleagues as a productive asset. Fortunately, many countries are recognizing the need for gender equality. The G20, representing 85% of the world GDP and 2/3 of its population, have pledged to reduce the gap in labor force participation rates between men and women by 25% by 2025. Not very far, and to create over 100 million more jobs, contributing to economic opportunity and well-being for all. As admirable as this goal may be, the sober fact is that at this rate, it would take over 150 years to achieve full economic equality. Are we prepared to wait this long? Certainly not. Our generation of women and daughters has the opportunity and the power to bend the arc of history towards greater gender equality and more inclusive global growth. It is a moral and economic imperative that will bring our collective weight to bear to achieve this future much sooner than a century and a half from now. Women can sustain the momentum by voting with our time, our wallets, and our social media accounts. We should be able to run our homes as well as run for office, persevere and climb the corporate ladder and become successful entrepreneurs. In doing so, we can show the way for women, younger women who are following us. But as Madeleine Albright had said, and I shall quote, "There is a special place in hell for those women who do not help other women," unquote. It is our sacred and privileged duty as successful women to create the next generation of women leaders. We must hire more women, invest in them, promote civility amongst us. Much remains to be done to achieve gender equality, but as an eternal optimist, I'm confident that it will be done because it must be done. One of the greatest gifts of leadership is this opportunity to work every day with and for the next generation, leading by example, learning from their insights, sharing ideas to keep the momentum going. Only in this way will we ensure that equal work and equal pay become a global reality, and women's rights will be fully respected. After all, women's rights are civil rights, and civil rights are human rights. It's time for us to get to work now. Thank you.